Hi, I'm Jane Farnham at Great British Speakers, and I'm here today chatting to award-winning leadership speaker Mark Denton. Now, leadership is one of the most popular speaking topics, but Mark really stands out from the crowd with a totally unique approach. So Mark, firstly, thank you for joining us today.
Very happy to be here.
Oh, it's lovely to meet you, even if it is virtually. Just tell us a little bit about your backstory to get started with.
So specifically the topic that I talk about is based on my experience of leading a team in the world's toughest yacht race called the BT Global Challenge. So that is the story that I share, really as a unique case history of how to get ordinary people to achieve an extraordinary thing, because the Global Challenge was a very unique event that allowed anybody from all walks of life to sail the wrong way around the world and achieve a lifelong dream. So that's what I talk about.
So we do have lots of sports speakers. Why is it, do you think, that the challenge really stands out from the crowd?
Yeah, so I think it is because it is ordinary people trying to achieve an extraordinary thing. A lot of sports speakers really coming from professional sport. People that are 100% committed and dedicated to doing their sport, and not to take anything away from them. I'm sure they've got some great learning to share. But my story is about a completely diverse amateur team, all between the ages of 18 and 60, coming together when they've never met each other before to compete in an incredibly tough yacht race and sail for 10 months around the world. And to come together as a team and try and achieve a result in that kind of environment with those kind of dynamics. You know, I think there's a lot within that business can learn from. Because at the end of the day, that's what businesses are trying to do. They're trying to bring disparate groups of people together to achieve something special. And that's exactly what we were trying to do. So
how much experience do these guys have when they start the challenge?
Well, you know, very little. And it was always a scary stat that 70% of them had never sailed before. And literally anyone can apply to do the Global Challenge. It's literally first come, first served. You have to turn up with a sizable check to be able to do it. Pretty much £50,000 in today's money to take part in this 10-month event. But other than that, you don't have to have any experience whatsoever. And as I say, 70% have never sailed before.
Oh, that's quite remarkable. So quite often we have sports speakers, and of course, most of which have outstanding achievements in their field. But sometimes they're lacking in what you might call transferable skills or takeaway benefits for the audience that you might be speaking to. But you have a track record of doing that. So how do you deliver lasting benefits, do you think?
Well, I mean, there's a couple of things about that. One is I had business and leadership experience before going into the Global Challenge. And I've also been a consultant and accredited coach and a strategy facilitator for the last 20 years since. And I've worked with some of the world's greatest companies, helping them to develop their cultures and develop their leadership to perform better. So I think I have a lot of experience from the business world also to reflect back on my story and to really think about, well, what made the difference for us? But I just think because of the dynamics of the race and the dynamics of our team, you know, there was an enormous amount of learning in there that's applicable to business. I mean, we were competing in a very competitive, constantly changing environment with diverse teams. And, you know, that's what business is facing into right now. And those are the challenges that business is facing. So what we learned and what allowed us to be successful on the race course, you know, will also very much help them in what they're trying to do. And so that's why I think my story has always been memorable. I think people have often said they've taken an enormous amount away that they can use the very next day. But that's why, because it just has such relevance for business within the story.
So given the situation that we've all found ourselves in over the last 18 months, obviously that's meant we've sort of moved towards a huge amount of online delivery. But what challenges and opportunities have presented themselves for your audiences?
Well, I think, I mean, in a lot of ways, yes, you know, hopefully we're coming out of the pandemic. I think in a lot of ways, the storm's still in front of us, which is what is the lasting effects of this pandemic. And my speech is entitled Navigate the Storm. It's all about helping people navigate the storm to come based on our crucial learning off the racecourse. So I think the story is still really relevant for what people are facing into right now. So I think that's why it really still hits the spot for so many audiences right now.
Yeah, very applicable to the current state of affairs, that's for sure. So we also mentioned earlier, we briefly talked about takeaway benefits. So do you have this in a format so that it can go beyond the big keynote event itself? Do you have something that the audiences take away with them?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a number of different formats, and you said, what have you learned about your audiences in the last 18 months? I mean, one thing is, Jane, we put a lot of effort into virtual delivery. We have a 4K studio here that allows us to create a virtual stage here. So when I'm presenting virtually, I'm not just a talking head and sharing a set of slides. I'm at one with my content. So you would just see me as a full screen with my content and my video behind me. So that's a really kind of unique way to view the story. But the other thing is we've got different formats. Yes, you can have a keynote format, anything from kind of half an hour up to 1.5 hours. But we also do half-day and one-day masterclasses, which is where we're just not downloading the story. We're actually immersing people in the story. We build the story up to certain challenges that we faced around the world. But rather than me sharing how I dealt and how we as a team dealt with those issues, we actually can put those challenges onto people in groups, on a virtual platform, in breakouts, and have them brainstorm. But look, if they were in that situation, how would they deal with that situation? And those particular breakouts all mirror directly challenges that they as leaders would be facing in business today. So yes, there's situations off the race course that we faced, but it's crucial learning that will then help them in business. And that's what we call the masterclass format. And we also have follow-up materials that we send to delegates afterwards. My speech and our masterclass is really based around three key principles that not only kept us surviving on the race course, but also thriving. And those three key principles are all around creating an environment where people feel safe. And I'm not just talking about physical safety, I'm also talking about psychological safety. So safe is the first one. Happiness is the second one, because you can have the greatest bunch of individuals, but if they are not happy and they're not happy working together or happy doing what it is they are doing, we'll never get high performance out of them. So we must focus on getting people happy. And that's crucial right now, coming out of the pandemic. And the last word that we really focus on is about fast. Slow boats never win, Jane, not on the race course and never in business. And so we also talk about needing to be going fast, not just in terms of your speed, but crucially your ability to learn. And it's a bit like right now coming out of the pandemic, as I said, I think in many ways the storm's still ahead of us. We need to really quickly learn our way through what has changed in the last 18 months. How's that affected our business model? How's it affected, how our people want to work and all of those good things? How's that affected how we need to lead them? And we need to learn that quickly. And so safe, happy, fast is what I talk about on the race. And you can access that in a number of different ways, as I said, from a keynote right through to a masterclass, which is, even more immersive and interactive.
It's about being adaptive, isn't it, in this changing climate? And as you say, navigate the storm as you face it. Yeah,
got to navigate the storm. And that's about being on the front foot, Jane, and not being kind of knocked over by the waves. It's about being on the front foot and surfing the waves. So that's what we help people do. And we've done it for some of the greatest clients in the world through my experience so far in speaking. So hoping to be sharing that story with a few more soon.
Well, thank you so much for your time today, Mark. It's been amazing to chat to you. I know you've made a difference at world-class companies worldwide. And if you'd like to either find out more about Mark and making a difference to your organisation, or to book him, do contact Steve or myself at greatbritishuk.com, or you can call us anytime on 01753 439 289. Mark, once again, thank you very much. You take care.
Welcome. Thanks, Jane.